Alrighty, today we're going to be learning a new kind of programming language for making websites. We already created a 3-page website about things we like using only HTML and a little bit of HTML, attributes or properties to maybe get some CSS onto some certain lines. But that was a small thing. Now we're going to do our actual CSS file. So the first thing we're going to do for that is we are going to... Well, first I'm going to adjust my screen size so that you guys can see what I'm doing, because that would be helpful for you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do for that is we're going to go to our search bar, and I'm going to go to my first website. If you can't find your file for whatever reason, look through your documents, but I'm going to open it up from here. And I have my website folders right in here. Now, in my website folders, I'm going to create a new kind of file. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to create a new, and let's see, I need to make a CSS document, but Microsoft's annoying, it's not here. Let's start with a text document. Let's name it Styles. We're going to name it Styles. I'm going to open up this text document by double-clicking it, and then I need to click File, and I need to click Save As, and I need to save as file type. I'm going to change that to all files, and then I can name the file to change the file type. I'm going to name it styles.css. Now, if I look back in my project folders, I have this styles.css document. In this class, I believe we're only ever going to need to use a single style sheet for our entire website. I can't think of an example where we would need more than just that. Whoops, I closed my page. So this will be our style sheet. Now, what we need to do on each of our pages of our website is we need to make sure to include a reference to our style sheet. So I'm going to open my web page, and I'm going to open my Visual Studios so I could code it. And let's actually have some content in our style sheet to start with. So to start with, let's just have our style sheet use the backgrounds. Let's also open my style sheet. Styles, open with Visual Studios. Okay, so styles.css. There's nothing in here yet. Let's go on W3 Schools, and let's see how to do a background color with styles. W3 Schools, CSS background color. Okay, so if I write, so the first I'm going to write the name of the tag. I'm going to write body, so that's going to be everything I could see visually on my website. So my entire website will have this background color. And then I'm going to write background dash color. I'm going to write a colon, the 2 dots, and I'll pick a color. I'm just going to use, I could scroll down through this menu and actually pick one. It looks like the AI has some color images. I'll use dark olive green. I used to never like green as a kid, but forest colors have really grown on me as an adult. Let's do dark olive green. So I created the style sheet, but if I look at my website, nothing's going to happen yet. I need to actually link my CSS to my HTML page. So I need to do a CAPTCHA because apparently it thinks I'm a robot. I need to go to HTML styling, CSS styling links. CSS links. No, that's not what I want. I want to link my CSS to HTML. Link CSS doc to HTML page. Let's see. HTML styles CSS. How to add CSS. There we go. Okay, so we have this link tag. We have a link that's going in our header, and that link will attach our style sheet to our page. So right now my page has nothing on it, but if I go to my index.html document, which I have open in these tabs up here, because I went to my files and I right-clicked index and I opened with the same app, so it's open right here in the same files. In my header, I need another link in addition to my favicon, and I'm going to do a link HEL equals, oh no, maybe REL, sorry, REL equals, and you might have an AI trying to fill this in for you, which could help, but I'm going to try not to use that, equals style sheet. So we have rel equals style sheet, and then the reference to the style sheet is going to be styles.css. This reference can be any name you want, but it has to match the name of this file. So I could have named this file fart.css, I named it styles.css. Now these CSS styles are going to apply to my whole website. So using these CSS styles, I can color different things on my website. I colored the body to dark olive green. Maybe I'll also color, I think that semicolon should be there. Why is this an error? Expected selector for the style rule, missing opening brace after selector in the style rule. I'm going to get rid of it because it says it's an error, but maybe it's not. All right, let's do another color. Let's do a color for the P tags. Let's do P. So my P tags will maybe be white, font size 18. I'll take what the AI recommends me. That's fine. And now when I refresh, my P tags are white. I can do my H1 color is yellow. Sure, why not? Oh, but it's not working because my H1 color is getting overridden. This one, style color, is purple. We specified this one to have a specific color, and inline colors are going to override what's on our style sheet. But I want everything to be in one place. I don't want to be confused and get errors between, like, why is this purple, why is this red? I'm going to keep everything together. I'm going to delete our CSS out of our HTML, and I'm just going to use the style sheet. My favorite things list. Cool. And any other styles I want to do? I'm not really using any other tags. Let's add some other styles to our CSS. Let's go to, instead of just color, font size, I could do a background color. And if I do a background color for just the P tag, then this will apply to just my P tag. If I do a background color for my H1, then this will apply to my H1. Okay, so we could add background colors to things. I could add background colors to, I believe, an image tag. So I gave it a border. That was my AI suggestion. So again, I took an AI suggestion, but the AI suggestion was border, and then a colon, and then the size of the border, I think. Well, let's do the style of the border. Let's say there's all these styles that my AI has recommended me. I'll do solid, and then I'll do the thickness. I'll do 5 px. Px means pixels. 5 pixels thick, and I'll do the color. I'll just say black, and I'll put semicolon, and now it's beautiful. And I can also do border radius, and that will cut the corners off. So if I say border radius, that rounds it out. Border radius is a really nice property for making things look nice. I'll add a border radius. Border. Why is it doing that? Border radius. I'll say 5px, and I'm just going to add that line. So now that rounded these corners, I'm going to add this 5 pixel border radius to all of my things. Maybe I'll add a border to these things as well. So maybe I'll just copy the same border line and I'll add it to my other sections. And I'll hit Control S to save, and now these things are in borders. Maybe I add a property to position things. So maybe my images, maybe I want my images to be centered, so maybe I could put what was the best one to use for this? Not transform. Let's go to W3 schools. W3 schools, let's look up how to, center with CSS. Center CSS. CSS horizontal and vertical align. Let's see what this looks like. Center, margin auto with border, solid green, margin auto, center align text. Oh, text align center. Yeah, that's a useful one. So text align center is just going to make it so instead of this gap being at the edge here, or instead of the skills being in the middle, if I do a paragraph, if I tell it to text align center. That will center my text. So there's lots of CSS properties. You guys could look up more. But basically everything that has to do with how we visually see things on a website is from these CSS properties. I want to center align, center an image in CSS. CSS centering images. Display flex. I don't want to flex display. There's a really, isn't there an align? I think there's one called align. Let me look. Align content center. No. What did I do? Align content center. That's not going to work though, because align content only applies to things that are inside of. So forget I did that. We don't even want to get into these aligns yet. There's a simple alignment tool that I can't find right now, but we don't have to worry about it right now. If I really wanted to, the way you would professionally, we'll do it. We'll do it in this lesson. The way you would professionally center things is you would make a class called div, and inside of your divs we'll say align content center. Nope. Why did my AI is autofilling me with a lot of crud? Center. And now anything inside of a div tag will be centered inside of that div. So now if I go back to my index and I wanted this centered, this thing here, I could put this in a div tag. So now it's a image tag inside of an a tag inside of this div tag. And now all the content inside of that div should be centered. If I save, and I messed up. So let me see where the div is. So to see where my div is, I'll put a background on the div. Background, color, let's put pink. Just because I want to see where this div is. Yeah, and then the content of the div should be aligned. Justify content center, maybe? How do I center this? Why is this not centering? I have a graph in my room for centering things. Let me see what it says. Let me go look. Justify content center, align content center. That image is content inside of my div. I'm going to leave this in the video. You guys can watch, this is a process you should go through if you're stuck, so it's great to watch. But I'm coloring things. I want this centered. Any tag inside of a div should get centered within that div. This whole pink thing is div. So justify content center. I feel like it should work, but maybe it's because it's two tags. Maybe the A tag is messing it up. I'm going to get rid of the link for 1 second, just out of curiosity, and then I'll put it back. No, that wasn't it. Maybe my page isn't loading? No, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it's loading. Okay, so everything's updating correctly. I'm not sure why I can't center this correctly. CSS centering images. Oh, because my display is not flexible. So inside of the div, I need to say display is flexible. And now it works. Okay, that's beautiful. So now we're centered. Display flexible just means that the objects within this can move around in a more flexible way instead of just being locked in place. So, in fact, for the body, I would even just say display flex. I changed my mind. I don't like it. I could do this. I would have to manually set everything up to go one after the other. Right now, each tag is happening right after the previous tag. If I start using those properties, I'm going to have to manually move them all around. Anyway, let's do... Okay, so this is a 15-minute video. In this video, I used lots of CSS properties to change the colors, the borders. I could change different border properties. Instead of solid, maybe I do dotted. Maybe instead of solid, I do dashed. Try different things. Make all 3 pages on your website link back to the CSS. So that's one more thing I have to show us, is that if I click my other page, it's not working. It doesn't have all my CSS that I was setting up. But if I go back to the code on this page, I just need to make sure to take this link, style sheet, CSS, styles.css, I need to make sure to include that on all of my pages. So in my header, I should have this link to my style sheet on all of my pages. If I open these pages on Visual Studios and I paste in this header, I should now have my styles working on all of these pages. Now I'm noticing I don't have a list style, I don't have an H2 style. Maybe you guys can include some of that. Maybe I'll even just copy H1 and I'll use H2, and H2 should be smaller, so maybe I'll do 30 instead of 36. And now I have my H2 styled. Maybe you guys can make a list item style. So now items on lists look beautiful as well. So now as I hop around, I have different, things going on my website. Now, obviously, there's more I could do. There's more things I can do. I can make things more beautiful. I spent 15 minutes doing this. You guys have multiple days to do this. Make your website more beautiful than mine. Spend actual time having actual cohesive colors, borders that make sense, multiple images. Make things look really nice as best you can. The artistic part is subjective. It's my opinion, and that opinion is going to be like a quarter of your grade on this assignment. So try to make it subjectively look nice according to whatever the teacher might think looks nice. Like having these more muted colors is better than something like, let's say I had the default red is like an eyeball melting color. Try to avoid, default red is a common thing that I hate, avoid that. But just use your best judgment and try to make it look nice. If I see effort, it's going to be 100, assuming you have all the rubric criteria completed. That's about it. So try to use our styles. In today's lesson, we created a style.css document in our project folder. We linked that style.css document to all of our other pages. So all of those pages pull their styles from the style.css document. In the style.css document, we added styles that include things like border and color and background color and text alignment. So maybe list item, maybe I text align center, text align. Maybe I'll try right instead of left, right. Now I have a right side list. Let's see what that looks like. Now my list is on the right side. Interesting. So use these different properties, try them out, make your website look nice as best you can. Yeah, include more pictures than I did. Look up your own properties on W3 Schools or on Google or on ChatGPT or whatever you have access to. And try to make me something beautiful. This is our CSS project. It's going to be due a week after we first look at it. And you guys are going to have a week to make your websites as beautiful as possible.